congratulations, everyone, for this new horrific movie, Hellbender.
Thanks, Gig. Thanks so much
you.
for having us here today, too.
Hey, not a problem, not a problem. Well, this movie is premiering at Fantasia Fest, so let's start off with the easy question. How does it feel that this movie is premiering there at this fine film festival?
It's heaven. You know, for a movie that talks a lot about hell, you know, it's really heaven. We're big fans of the Fantasians, and we just, going back there is a wonderful kind of homecoming for us.
So our first horror movie, The Deeper You Dig, premiered at Fantasia, and Fantasia changed our life. Mitch Davis and his crew at Fantasia are exceptional people, and their festival is exceptional. And when we finished Hellbender, the first person we sent it to was Mitch Davis, because we respect him so highly.
Yeah. Everyone at Fantasia has welcomed our kooky family with open arms, and we really appreciate it.
Kooky family. Well, this movie is what, a family affair. Do you always make movies together?
Yes, this is our 7th movie, that feature film that we've made together since Zelda was 6 and our older girl Lulu, who plays Amber in the film, was 11.
Wow. So who came up with the story for a Hellbender this time around?
I'm going to move this very loud dog.
Hellbender was kind of a couple ideas. Back when we first started coming up with the idea for Hellbender, Zelda was on a soccer team and we were traveling a lot. And we talked, after The Deeper You Dig, we knew we wanted to make another horror movie. And so we were bouncing ideas off each other. And Toby found out that her father, her blood father, wasn't the father who had raised her. And so it was this huge event in her life that definitely had a big impact on the idea for Hellbender, which basically is about identity and maybe finding out something about your family that you never knew.
Yeah, it originally started out like, since we found out Toby was donor conceived, we were like, wow, like, what if we made a story like this where, what if your dad was the devil? And then we were thinking about a movie called The Devil's Daughter. And then we were like, no, what if your mom was a witch? No, let's make our own mythological character. So we had a lot of fun making up our own Hellbender character.
So exactly what is a Hellbender that you guys came up with? What exactly is it?
A Hellbender,
besides the that the dog could open doors and
a Hellbender is female in form but desexualized. It's a matrilineal line of very powerful, unapologetic entities who progenerate, and yeah, it's a bunch of badasses. And as we say in the film, Zelda's character calls them a cross between a witch, a demon, and an apex predator, and that just kind of wraps it all up. But really, it's a badass hell-bending entity that we decided we were going to come up with.
Yeah, and one of the big aspects of being a Hellbender is that you have to devour your mother to end up, you know, reproducing your own little Hellbender. Therefore, yeah.
That doesn't sound like a good deal, but it does sound like some kind of tradition for sure. Now, as a family yourselves, why are you all attracted to horror? That's usually not a family affair that, you know, they go around teaching their young children to grow up and love, right? Especially for you, Zelda.
I think we've loved horror ever since I was a kid. I remember Toby showed me Carrie, the movie, and at first I was terrified. I couldn't sleep for a little while, but then I started to love that feeling of being scared. And collectively, I think we all love that feeling of being scared and loved watching horror movies. And, you know, John and I decided to make our own little horror movie. It was like an hour long. and it was just me killing a bunch of people. And we were like, wow, that was fun. Let's do this on, you know, a bigger production scale. And ever since we did that, I think we have a bug for horror. We love it.
So how does this production actually work as a family affair? You know, basically acting and directing and writing and doing everything all in one production, movie after movie.
I think at this point we've all realized what each of us is really good at. Like Toby's a fantastic writer, so she always writes everything for us. She's very good at like character arcs and the drama, and she's good at getting everything in order and making sure that we complete all our circles. I know that I love doing sound. I love doing cinematography. Zelda, what do you think about what you love about it?
I love cinematography and acting and directing. Yeah.
So I think at this point we really know what each brings to the table. And then when those things cross, we let democracy kind of rule the situation. In other words, like if we're on set and we each have a different idea about how to shoot something, well, we actually shoot it all three ways so that the editing process can kind of determine which is the winner.
Yeah, and whoever isn't acting in front of the camera is the one directing and controlling behind the camera. And a lot of our time, like as we're family filmmakers, a lot of our time, like during dinner, is spent just talking about our movies. So dinner is a business meeting every night.
Doesn't that get kind of tiresome that you know, you're literally like living and breathing filmmaking all day, 7 days a week?
I know. I think that we love it so much. Like I think we're each just so in love with it, and it's made all of us so much closer to one another because we're getting to relate over something that we each love so dearly. What were you going to say, Toby?
Yeah, I think the family that creates together really stays and grows together. Sounds cheesy, but it's really true. For us, we shoot where we live where we shoot. I think it only makes our dynamics stronger. And it's also really cool to be adults and kids learning from each other. I mean, as we've made 7 films, we've evolved. It's really cool to do that next to our children. And we learn as much from them and their vision as I think they're learning with us.
Also, I have to add that as a family of 3 making movies together, there's no alarm clock set. Like we don't have a schedule. We don't have we don't work 8 hours a day. We kind of work when it's convenient. We shoot when it's convenient, and we shoot when we want to. If somebody doesn't want to do something, we don't do it that day because it's definitely fun. And so it's, you know, we're not kicking each other's butts here.
I know it's contrary to what people believe. People who live and breathe horde aren't the insane people. They don't really go out and kill people, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about this setting that you actually have for Hellbender. Is it really a house in the woods, or you guys just made it appear that way?
Well, fantastic question. So we made a movie 2 years ago called The Deeper You Dig, and I was redoing that house. I ripped it apart all the way to the bones, and it starred in our movie, The Deeper You Dig, and I finished it. And so we were able to actually shoot in the same house that we had shot in The Deeper You Dig, and now it was cleaned up and finished. And it is pretty isolated because we do live up in the Catskill Mountains, and it's actually, even though it's in New York State, and it's only about 2.5 hours outside of the city, it's pretty remote in a wonderful way.
Wow, that's pretty. I haven't been to the Catskill Mountains, but I am familiar with it. Knowing people are. Tell us about the music developed for Hellbender. Who wrote those, or is that also a family affair?
Well, Zelda, do you want to answer, or do you want me to answer?
Yeah, so we make music together as a family. We've been doing it ever since I was a kid. And, you know, we had this band called Hellbender, and we were like, we have to make a movie with this title. And so I like to think that our movie is like a further development of our band that we had. And a lot of our music is on like Spotify and Apple Music. And it was really fun using like our band as a device in the movie to implement some fun into it, because it's such a dark story. But when you have these band scenes in there, it's a good distraction from the terrifying things that are going on. And John is a great guitarist and, you know, instrument player. And Toby and I really enjoy singing on all these tracks. So it's a really fun family affair.
Is there anything you all don't do together?
We
don't
don't
know.
we don't clean our rooms or do
Yes.
laundry very well.
But we collectively don't do that.
You know, for your band that's portrayed in the movie, Hellbender, there did because it seems like you did everything together. And what was the makeup, the facial makeup, also done for yourselves, or that was something like you just wanted to be creative and just say, hey, let's go with something similar to Kiss or something?
You know, the makeup on the faces was just to bring out joy and to also show that, like, even though these two were isolated and they weren't playing for anybody, they took it seriously and they took it all the way. And it was a way for the mother to engage the daughter in something fully, to give her that full experience, except for the fact that she couldn't have the other half of the experience, which would be a crowd.
That's good. That's great. Now, one of the things that was terrifying throughout the entire movie is the recreation of that witch's symbols with the twigs. How long did you guys actually played around with that to get that symbol perfected, or was that actually an actual symbol out there?
Oh, that's cool.
That
Yeah,
is really
I've been
cool.
waiting for someone
Yay.
to talk about the totem, and you're the first. Yeah, we made the totem, and we had a couple rehearsals trying to really figure out what the totems should look like and how we should use them. And in the end, we were in the Northwest, the Pacific Northwest, in those beautiful rainforests, and, you know, with wonderful fungi and moss and dripping wetness. And that's where we finally nailed it, we thought. Yeah, and we thought the totem would be a way. There's a theme of voyeurism throughout the film, where the mother is secretly watching the daughter, and then the daughter is secretly watching the mother, and you have the book peeking into the private world of the book, and which gives Izzy a vision of what her ancestry is. And so the totem, we realized we wanted it to look like an eye, and we thought it really was an eye.
And we also wanted it to represent the, the four corners of the world. And, there's a bunch of geometric truths in it too that were a lot of fun. And it did take a little while to get it. And we're very happy that you're the first person to mention it, because it was important to us. We made a couple, and finally when we hit that one, we were really excited about it.
Well, I have to ask, because sometimes I do a lot of interviews, and one time I interviewed a director, and then she told me that she was actually a living and breathing witch. So, so I just want to make sure it wasn't like some kind of witchcraft, and you were casting a spell on the Fantasia audience or something like that by looking directly into the eye.
Or
Well,
were we?
If we were, we're not going to be telling you that.
I don't know. A lot of witches aren't that humble. They don't like to keep it themselves. Sort of like a diabolical scheme of things. So what's next as a family for yourselves? Are you already have like 7 more horror movies lined up?
Just one. Well, maybe a few.
We have
But
one for
one.
sure lined up that we're working on right now. Zelda, do you want to say, or do you want me to say, or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Zelda came up with this idea, which was really fun. We were driving to the city and she basically mapped out a wonderful skeletal story. And now Toby's putting the meat on it because that's what Toby does really well. And it's a story about a family of gangsters set in the 30s that are serial killers. And they basically, something terrible happens to the parents, and the daughter is forced to engage a little black magic to save them. And inevitably, black magic always backfires on you, and it comes back to haunt them all. And so it's a little bit of Frankenstein, a little bit of Bonnie and Clyde, and a little bit of vaudeville.
Not more magic, more witchcraft. Now it just gets my mind circling here about you folks. But anyways.
All right, there you go. Well, it's fun because, you know, we love the folk horror aspect of Hellbender. And we also love body horror. And so we thought it would be fun to explore a little body horror because we really enjoyed the folk horror thing. And so it seemed kind of like appropriate to open up the next chapter and do a little body horror.
Most excellent. Well, hey, congratulations for Hellbender. Congratulations for premiering it at Fantasia, and thank you for carrying this conversation with us. And just curious, did you guys keep that totem as a keepsake, or do you have to throw it away?
Oh yeah,
we
love that totem. It's really good. It's hanging in our living room.
Yep.
Terrific. Well, anyways. Hey, thank you for speaking with us, and hopefully we get to talk again on your next film.
Absolutely. Thanks,
so,
Jake. Thanks for inviting us here today.